Hello and welcome to the Terran Imperial Monarchy's Weapon System Training Course. This course is brought to you by the Colonial Naval Academy, located on Cav. I'm Captain Jim Jericho of the CN and will be your instructor for today. Our lesson today will be on void torpedoes. Torpedoes come in a wide variety of types, purposes, yields, that move on its own power towards its intended destination. We will be exploring a variety of torpedoes from simple to more advanced. We will, of course, learn about its basic functionality, history, followed by its implementation in our current era. So with that, let us begin. A torpedo is a ranged weapon that self-propels itself towards a target and with, but not exclusively, an explosive warhead designed to detonate either on impact or in proximity of a target. The function of a torpedo is to deliver a high yield of explosive to damage or destroy larger vessels in ship-to-ship warfare. The means in which the torpedo moves through the void of space is by an engine that can deliver enough thrust for a long enough period of time to reach its destination in a timely manner. The engine itself can be as complicated as a mini nuclear powered generator or as simple as a gas or liquid mix of combustible material. The warheads of these devices can be, as previously stated, explosive in nature or be instead filled with a viral chemical agent made to neutralize the crew of the receiving vessel so as to keep the ship as whole as possible to capture as a prize. Other types use thermal means, and yes, I'm talking about thermonuclear and non-nuclear means. But eliminating the fleshy types that inhabit the ship is not the only means from which to cripple or destroy a target. For example, a torpedo can be crafted to be non-explosives, in that its function is to hinder, confuse, and confound the enemy's ship by the use of very powerful sensor jammers via hacking systems and other such nasty techno-arsenal, in that the enemy ship won't know if it's 1 or 1,000 torps attacking it, causing the ship to either expend precious resources shooting at ghosts, or cause the enemy to panic as if the ship will try to retreat from the field of battle, leaving its flanks unprotected as it attempts to avoid a perceived threat. In Terra's past, prior to the current descriptor of torpedo about being a device that self-propels and goes boom, was instead what we referred to as mines. As far back as 1626, torpedoes were a device in water that can be floating or speared into a ship that will then explode, destroying the target. And yes, I said speared. Some early renditions of the device were a semi-submersible or submersible, i.e. attempts at making a submarine, would have a long stick and an explosive at the end of it. They would, in theory, poke a ship and make it go away, and hopefully not themselves in the process. This was rather innovative for its time. But in 1866, a fellow by the name of Robert Whitehead had invented the first ever self-propelled torpedo. A few kinks had to be worked out, and after 2 more years of work, in 1868, he had a suitable model that could do the job well enough. And it was a very good design, as nothing more was really needed to be done for a very long time. Different makes and models would soon follow, but all were typically the same as the first, just better components and engines for which to propel them. It wouldn't be until after 1952, the expansion from Earth and the mass colonization of the Sol system, that the torpedo would get a refit to operate in the void of space. Jumping on the opportunity to win military contracts, many companies and corporations began refitting and reimagining many of the self-propelled weapons normally employed planetside. In this, it would be Konzenberg Gruppen of Norway that would be the first to make a working model that would be able to traverse space and work as well as its hydro counterpart. Competition would heat up after this development, with many companies copying the said design and adding their own little touches so they could put their logo stamp on it. Most of the torpedoes developed at this moment had warheads that were shape charged, that would make an explosive hole in the hulls of void ships, making their insides more akin to the outside. It wouldn't be until 1969 the invasion happens that we wouldn't see the addition of the thermonuclear warhead, as many world leaders, though under the safety umbrella of the young and parent imperial monarchy, were hesitant to use such weapons of fear of potential sleeper cells of the Illuminati getting their hands on such devices and sending them planetward. However, these fears of such treachery were quickly quelled when the pirate Lord Miriam invaded the Sol system in search of plunder, slaves, and resources. At that point, all nations capable quickly adjusted their efforts to fight back the invaders in any way they could, and that included the introduction of many high-yield torpedoes. Once the invaders were routed, the monarchy made and I mean very, liberal use of its burgeoning thermonuclear torpedoes in the hunt and eradication of all clanners encountered. If a clan ship was found, then it would either see its hatches quickly kicked in by Star Marines who would there to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and apparently they were all out of bubblegum, or they got one hell of a tan with a seemingly endless wave of new suns bursting into existence against their hull. From then on, a healthy market of void torps research and development was established. Currently, there are many companies, governments, and species that develop this seemingly simple weapon of void war, but as we'll explore some of these warheads and extra things, you'll quickly discover that it's anything but simple. When discussing warheads of this silent swimmer of the stars, there are a plethora of types ranging from those that destroy to those that deploy. The first we'll be looking at will be those that, of course, destroy. When you want to destroy someone, like that guy in particular, you'll find that you'll have no shortage of options to make that happen. Either it be conventional explosives, nuclear, antimatter, chemical, biological, digital. Of these, there are many, many, many types to choose from. For example, biologically speaking, you can have a weapon that will penetrate the enemy's ship and release a fact-acting plague that would either kill off the hapless crew on board or affect their mental chemistry in a way that would see them act like wild men and begin killing each other with reckless abandon. Chemically, you could deploy a nerve agent that would incapacitate those nearby, or deploy an acid that would begin eating the ship from the inside out. Antimatter, well, if you haven't guessed, it just acts like one hell of an eraser and just makes them non-existent in spectacular fashion. Same goes for thermonuclear, but brighter and with a lot of radiation added to it. Digitally, though not something that explodes nor needs to actually make impact, just get close enough, can affect the ship's system by attacking its core systems via attack bots, viruses, malware, soul hacking those with certain implants, spam mailboxes with your ship's extended warranties, and VIs designed for the sole purpose of uploading, replacing your ship's current VI, and sabotage the whole damn thing from within. And then there's the conventional explosive, which, because it has a tendency not to vaporize everything it touches, tends to be what most use when they want to take a ship a prize. Just with conventionals, you can add ball bearings to the mix and turn the warhead into a hell of a claymore or a shotgun, but, for ships. Shape charges for precision penetration. Or just go ham and introduce the foe to the Tsar Bomba 2.0 because nukes are too clean and you want to be able to rip them to shreds instead of vaporizing them. Of course, if there are those that destroy, no doubt there will be those that are for non-combat roles as well. In this case, The warhead is removed and replaced with container modules that are typically made for planetary entry, and these can carry anything like small arms, power packs, beacons, comm systems, food, and pretty much anything else you can cram to the container casing. The reasoning for something like this would be due in part to a planet being under siege, and impossible close enough too, but a handful of torps with things those on the surface needs could be launched from a far enough range and slip through the barricade and blockade towards the planet, hopefully undetected. And before I forget, some of these warheads can come in as a mixed bag of designs. For example, digital types merged with chemical or biological types create havoc on the ship itself and its crew simultaneously to better destroy your opponent. Many thermonuclears will be like this in particular, having a digital setup attached to it so it can scramble the enemy ship's sensors and point defense guns and allow it to get close enough to be able to make a better impact before it gets shot down, basically improving your odds of damaging the foe one way or another. So, there you go. Torpedoes. An old weapon for sailing ships on the Terran high seas to avoid ships in the open space that is as versatile as it is deadly. For further information on void torpedoes, you can find that on Terra_Wikipedia on the GNet. And that's all we have for you today. So, thank you for your time, and of course, you are dismissed.